Welcome to Film Rush.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to Film Rush. My name is Logan Vaughn, and I am coming at you from Chattanooga, Tennessee. I am not joined today by my cousin John Vaughn over in Springfield, Missouri. And the reason is because I have a movie to talk about that he has not seen, and it is 2020's The Invisible Man. This came out earlier this year. This is directed by Leigh Whannell and stars Elizabeth Moss in the lead role. Oliver Jackson Cohen is playing the quote-unquote Invisible Man, if you will. And I caught this last week. It's on HBO now, so you can go watch this for free over on HBO. I caught it on HBO Max, maybe on Max, not on the regular one. Who the hell knows what's going on with HBO these days? But the reason that I wanted to talk to you guys about this movie today is because I haven't seen very many 2020 movies. The whole lockdown and pandemic has just killed movie theaters this year, and this was one of the first major big movies that I got to actually finally catch up on from earlier this year. I think Birds of Prey was the only movie that I saw in theaters in 2020. I saw that twice, and then things locked down in mid-March, and I have not been back to a theater since. So, Invisible Man. Very much enjoyed this movie. If I hated it, I wouldn't be here. I thought that this was an incredibly well-shot and well-paced thriller. The cinematography in this movie is just absolutely incredible, and it often feels like a masterclass Black Mirror episode. It feels like the best Black Mirror episode you've ever seen, or at least one of the better ones. The way this movie incorporates technology into the invisibleness. It's literally an invisible suit that the guy creates. You find that out in the first 3 minutes of the movie, so no spoilers here. But an invisible suit is created, and it is used to stalk someone, and I love that concept because, anytime you have that conversation, like, what would you rather be, like, invisible or super strong, or would you rather be able to fly or be invisible? Like, we have these conversations all the time, and I never say invisible because there's just something creepy about it. There's no accountability for it. You'd be an awesome spy, you'd be an awesome perv, but to me, I would just much rather have other powers. But being able to use invisibility to go to some really evil, heinous places. This movie basically takes that concept of, like, if you could be invisible and an evil prick at the same time, like, what would you do? And this movie literally plays that out. Essentially, the story here, Elizabeth Moss is playing a character named Cecilia. She is in some type of romantic relationship with Oliver Jackson Cohen's character, Adrian. And you kind of get a story painted for you right off the bat that Adrian is a super rich, super narcissistic, evil douchebag. And he is controlling, like hardcore controlling everything about Cecilia's life. To the point that I don't know that I would call it a romantic relationship as much as I would just call it straight up, like, abuse or something. It is 100, it's not or something, it is abuse. The way that he interacts with her, at least at the beginning of this movie, is I would say abusive. And the movie starts with Cecilia running away. She figures out this super complicated plan to break out of the house. And she breaks out, she runs away, she gets away, she's all good. And then things start to get extremely weird for her. She begins to suspect that she's being stalked. She just can't prove it. And extremely odd and coincidental and weird things keep happening. And she has some suspicions about Adrian and his involvement with the weirdness that she's experiencing. So it's a super awesome paranoia thriller because Cecilia is saying, I'm being stalked by an invisible man, basically, and no one believes her. They all think that she's crazy. She gets herself into some really, really uncomfortable, problematic situations with law enforcement, with her friends and family, too, because they all think she's just completely lost her mind, and she hasn't. So a lot of just really dark, twisted fun that I had with that premise. Elizabeth Moss, man, like, we all know that she's awesome. We all know that she could be the next biggest actress kind of thing. She's never personally been like one of my favorites, but this performance just leapt off the screen for me. She was super, super good in this role. Oliver Jackson Cohen really doesn't get much screen time in the movie. He's kind of he's definitely more referred to than he is on screen, but when he is on screen, boy, does he draw your eye. There's just something about his character in this movie that you don't trust, and you don't trust that he's good, and maybe you don't even trust that he's actually all that bad either, and maybe he's, just that smart, maybe he's just a really, dumb guy, or like, he's hard to figure out. He's an enigma type character. And I really enjoy that. I love seeing him play Luke in the Haunting of... Oh, you have got to be kidding me. Cannot remember it right now. Netflix show that blew up a couple of years ago. He was really, really good in that as well. What else about this movie, man? Cinematography is just incredible. Like, so many really, really cool shots that aren't cut to hell. Really long, extended, slow camera shots, and it really plays on the mind with, like, okay, obviously the camera's looking at an empty room, and you're supposed to imagine like an imaginary person walking through it, and that sounds really stupid to say out loud, but boy, this movie is tense. Jacqueline really, really liked it. She was tense, kind of edge of her seat the whole time. She got pretty scared in a couple different scenes. So I really, really enjoyed this movie. I don't know that I loved it to pieces. If I were to take this movie and put it up against like my top 20 lists for the last couple of years, I don't know that this would be strong enough to eke into the top 10 of any of those lists. This would definitely be somewhere between like 15 and 20 of the year. So again, comparing it to other 2020 movies, what's the point in that? But comparing it to just, horror thrillers in general, I gave this an 8 out of 10. I thought this was super well done. I very much enjoyed the artisticness. Like, you can just really feel the seriousness that the production team took with designing this world and with writing the script and building character moments up and story arcs. Everything really about this movie just sings for me. Psychological thrillers in general aren't my favorite type of horror, so this is not... I wouldn't say that this is like I have to go out and like buy this movie and I need to keep it on my shelf and I'm gonna watch it every Halloween. I don't know that it had like that big of an impact on me, but I really enjoyed watching it. Would totally recommend it to somebody else. So that is pretty much it. That is my spoiler-free thoughts on The Invisible Man. What did you think about this movie? Are you a big Leigh Whannell fan? What would you like to see from him next? A lot of really cool things happening in the Film Rush world right now. You can follow me and John on our social medias. You'll find us on Facebook and on Letterboxd. Letterboxd.com is one of the best websites out there for movie fans. I am a diary nerd. I love the shit out of logging my movies, and this app is a super cool way to kind of log your movies and say, like, okay, how many, dramas have I watched this year? How many horror movies have I watched this year? How many movies starring Tom Hanks have I watched this year? How many movies scored by John Williams have I watched this year? If you're a really big movie nerd and really into movie stats, I would highly recommend getting a Letterboxd account. It's a really, really fun service. Look John up on there, look me up on there. I'm on there pretty much every single day. Would love to interact with you. Are there any other 2020 movies that you're interested in knowing about? Hit John and I up and we will do whatever it takes to find that movie and give you a review. Join us next week, and John and I will get back into the regular groove of things. So, hope you guys have a fantastic week. Watch a whole bunch of movies, and we'll see you next time.